First and foremost, I wanted to write a male counterpoint to Notes from an Exhibition. I wanted to write a book that would do for fatherhood what that book did for motherhood.
Which was about a painter.
So Notes from an Exhibition is about the mother from hell. She is an artist of genius. She is bipolar, profoundly bipolar, and she happens to be a mother several times over. And although it shows that perhaps the sacrifice is worth it, perhaps it's worth what the suffering is the children go through in order to say they lived with a genius. Their lives are pretty much shattered, and that novel is about a family trying to survive the woman at its heart. And I thought, OK, having done that, it'd be only fair to do the same for men. And then completely out of the blue, I wrote what came to be the first chapter of the book, but could just as well have been a short story, which was inspired by a news item about this young man, Daniel James, 20-year-old rugby player, paralysed from the neck down, whose parents took him to Dignitas to die. Now, funnily enough, this also inspired Jojo Moyes to write her latest novel, Me Before You, but where Jojo read that story and was horrified and couldn't believe the parents had done it, I read it and was very moved because I thought, well, they must really have loved him in order to be able to suppress their own love sufficiently to help him to die.
And your main character in A Perfectly Good
Well,
Man?
the main character in A Perfectly Good Man is the priest. But at the time, I didn't know I was going to write a book about a priest. I just wrote this self-contained story about a young man in a wheelchair who summons a priest to his flat in Penzance in order to commit suicide in front of him. And I was horrified by it, really. I didn't know where it was going to go. And it was a month or two before those strands came together and I realised not only would that little chapter not go away, but that the priest had been handed to me on a plate. The priest and the connection between the priest and the young man would be where the book would grow from.
Barnaby Johnson is your perfectly good man, and he's a vicar, but reading it, one can't help feeling that, yes, he is a wonderful man, but at what price?
Well, I think like all the best people, he's not perfect. I think perfection is impossible to live with and probably impossible to achieve. So he has feet of clay. And I was very nervous. As soon as I realised I was going to have a priest at the heart of the novel, I was very nervous because it's a hard sell. I knew as soon as I mentioned it to my publishers, they would say, "Oh Lord, do you have to?" and sure enough, they did say, "Please, can you at least keep God out of the title?" So
because it is so unfashionable.
It's deeply unfashionable. It's very off-putting. So I knew I would have to work extra hard to humanise him, to make non-believers, non-churchgoers, or people of other faiths interested in him. And the key is quite simple. The key is the emphasis on fatherhood. It's as much a book about fatherhood and paternity as it is about faith.
Let's just talk about the narrative style, which you take the narrative and you snapshot at different points in people's lives. Like, for example, the beginning is Lenny at 20, then Dorothy, we find out later, is Barnaby's wife at 24, and then suddenly Barnaby right at the end of his life at 60, and we hop all over the place.
Yes, well, I haven't done it many times before, but in this case it was a conscious effort to echo the design of Notes from an Exhibition.
Which is looking at the pictures at different stages of Rachel's life.
Not so much the pictures, but in both novels what you have in the structure is a double helix. So one coil is the central character's life, which is told backwards, going back and back into their life in order to find out the deepest secrets and the deepest motivations. And the other coil going around that is formed from the viewpoints of their loved ones, whose stories are going forward. So in a way it mirrors at once the process of psychotherapy, where you're getting your patient gradually to reveal themselves. So the reader is in a way the one playing the therapist, and gradually finding out about the central character. But I think it also echoes the way our own memories work. They aren't neat and tidy, they aren't chronological. We're constantly jumping from the thing you did in your childhood to the thing that happened this afternoon. Our lives aren't chronological, and so I think readers actually respond quite well to being made to do a bit of work.
Well, having written A Perfectly Good Man as an echo novel, as a follow-on from Notes of an Exhibition, what can we look forward to next, Patrick Gale?
I'm going in a very different direction, and that, all being well, I'm writing an original drama serial for BBC Two, which they commissioned.
How exciting.
Yes, well, they came to me saying they were very keen to have a drama serial with a gay theme, slightly historical gay theme. They didn't want X-rated sex, and that's why they were coming to me, because they know I don't like writing sex scenes. And would I be interested? So I said, well, I'll come up with a storyline that interests me, and if you like it, we'll go with it, and if you don't like it, I'll turn it into a novel. And they did like it. So what I'm doing for them is, it's a series, but it's also 3 separate films.
So when is that due to
in
go?
3 ways.
When is that due to go into production?
You know what the BBC are like. It could
I
take
do.
forever. Originally, they said autumn next year, but at the rate we're going in development hell, I suspect it'll be spring the year after next. So spring 2014.
Oh, for transmission.
Yes,
So
yes.
something very much to look forward to.
Hope so.
Has it got a public title yet or not?
At the moment, it's called A Man in an Orange Shirt, which is the title of a painting, which plays a key role all the way through it. It's loosely based on the paintings of John Minton, great 1940s, 50s painter.
And reading notes from an exhibition. Clearly your love of painting is very deep.
Well, my love of... It's not just painting. I'm a sort of art buff, I suppose. Not just painting, but music as well, and dance. And I love the challenge of writing about other art forms, and writing about the things that aren't easy necessarily to put into words.
Do you make life difficult for yourself, do you think? Do you always go for
I've
the challenge?
learned I have to. I had a wonderful, wonderful editor who I didn't get for years. She finally acquired me in about 1998, and so she edited Rough Music, which was a breakthrough novel for me. She was called Patricia Parkin. Sadly, she has died, so she waved her wand only briefly. But one of the things she made me realise about myself is that I'm lazy, and I need to push myself. I need to set myself a creative challenge. And that seems to get the best results. So I actively seek out creative discomfort, if you like. And I learned from Patricia to write about the dark side. So under her influence, my books have got a lot darker.
We look forward very much, Patrick Gale, to A Man in the Orange Shirt. Is
Yes.
that the working title?
So do I. I'm at that stage of having dreams where it's already written and then realising it isn't.
And then back to novel writing, or just
Yes, no, there's another novel already in the pipeline. I can't wait.
Excellent. Patrick Gale, thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you.